Oh my days. That's horrible. Okay, so that's horrible. That is actually horrible. My bad, everyone. I just recorded a video. It wasn't that long. It was like 10 minutes earlier, and oh my, I'm mad at myself. I went through like a full like explanation of this. I thought I was cooking. I looked down. I was muted the entire time. I was muted. So I'm gonna have to redo everything. But I'm playing Minecraft because 2K felt I wasn't gonna focus. Yeah, I was kind of like all over the place. If you guys watched my previous video, I was kind of all over the place. So this one's a little bit more calm. I'm gonna be able to actually focus on what I'm trying to do. Have you been watching me for a while? I don't think many people have because I'm kind of a small channel. I'm just like a guy. You'll recognize this world. It's changed up quite a bit. Some things you might recognize like that. It's been in the actually I don't think I filmed the videos when that was in the background. But some of these things, this world is pretty old, so it's near and dear to my heart. Okay, so the topic that I was doing before I realized that, you know, I'm not recording or I'm muted was suffering for Christ. So I specifically wanted to do this before Lent, but Lent ended. Oh my days, I can't speak now. I wanted to do this before Lent, right? Wanted to do this during well, yeah, before Lent, but I didn't have enough time to, cause like I'm on break. The only reason I'm able to record this is I'm not on break yet, but I'm in my final weeks of my semester, my final semester of college, or not my final semester. I'm not that old. My first, well, yeah, I'm on like the last few days of my semester before spring or summer break. So, and then last time I filmed was spring break. So yeah, I'm kind of like chilling right now. So I'm able to film, but that's besides the point. So I want to do suffering for Christ, through Christ, or for Christ, not through Christ. Because yeah, Lent is kind of like the time where we suffer the most, specifically because that's what Lent was about our Lord, not eating and drinking 40 days and 40 nights. Kind of suffered a lot after that as well, his death, and then him rising again. But I still wanted to talk about this, and I don't want my thoughts to, kind of like go away, and then by the time I come back, like fully, I forget already. So I kind of want to just do this now instead of having to wait an entire other year or so. So, what I was saying in the other before I realized that I was muted was, suffering isn't bad. Jeez, the music's pretty loud. Suffering isn't bad. We're all gonna suffer regardless of if you're for God, you're with God, or you're not, because um, it's just part of life. It's just how it is. And if anything, most people believe that that's still kind of loud. Most people believe that once you're kind of with God, with the Lord, you're not gonna suffer. Which, I mean, I get the idea behind that, but at the same time, they're completely wrong because you know we're still gonna suffer. God Himself, when He came down in the flesh, He suffered. So what makes you think we won't? Like I understand the mindset. I'm not gonna like clown on those people because I understand the mindset, but it's just, of course we're gonna suffer because our Lord suffered. We're bound to suffer. We're no better than Him, so we're gonna suffer as well, right? But it's in that suffering what we do. In the earlier clip, when I keep saying that because I'm genuinely a little mad at myself for not checking that I was muted. I was talking about those cows. Those are cows. Huh. I was talking about how you know sometimes we suffer to help other people believe. Even if we're gonna suffer, we're gonna help other people believe, even through our suffering. An example I said was like, if you're sick, we're all good. Like we're all examples, kind of God. Like if you're sick, you might suffer through this disease or whatever you're going through, and you might be. Some people might get angry at God and start even not believing in him anymore because of, you're like, they might be like, oh, if God actually liked me, he would have cured me, this or that, right? But I mean, no, because there's a reason you're going through this. Like, for example, an example I said was I don't know his name, but he's kind of like you've probably seen him on TikTok and Instagram or whatever you use. It's this guy. He's forgive me, this might sound a little rude, but he has a disability. He's in a wheelchair, and he talks about Christ. I don't know his name. I really don't know his name. Probably should have searched him up beforehand. But he's in a wheelchair. He talks about our Lord, and he kind of talks about how his situation. And most people would have assumed, this guy's in a wheelchair. He probably hates God because he feels deformed, or he feels God made him like that and he hates him or something. No, but no, rather he's the other way around. He's kind of talking about how through through God, he was made like that through God for a reason, and that reason is to help other people. Jeez, help other people believe. You know, we're gonna suffer. We're all gonna suffer, but we're not. Most of us might not suffer the way that that man is suffering. Oof, that man is suffering. That man has a disability. He has to live like that every single day. Some of us just don't want to do basic stuff. Like some of us don't want to do our homework, this or that. We call that suffering. No, that's just sadly being lazy. It's the honest thing, but it's just sadly us being lazy. The real suffering is when he like something that he has, you know. But he dedicates it to Christ. He picks up his cross, and instead of being like, I'm gonna blame God for all my problems. No, he goes the other way and he's like, there's a reason God made me like this. He made me to help other people believe, and not only that, but you know, to how did I say it? Yeah, to encourage other people to find God and see through a different perspective that you might not, see beforehand. Most people, like I said, think as soon as you go to Christ, it's all sunshines and rainbows. Absolutely not. Personally, I have a lot of experience, with suffering. I think most people do. I'm gonna be like, oh, it's only me. No, most people do. It's just how life is. Most of us have suffered, and will continue to suffer. What the heck is this? You know, but it's just how it is. I don't see any iron, but if anything, that's good because uh, we have to dedicate it to Christ. Christ suffered one way. We're gonna suffer another way. Um, sorry, I'm kind of like running of like where I'm going. I'm running out of like I'm thinking of where to go with this, but you know, it's it's not bad to suffer. It's part of life. Everyone's gonna suffer. You um, I've kind of been through a lot this year compared to what I'd like to be. Um, especially like what the heck? There's a jeez. Okay. Um, and I usually try to dedicate it to, the Lord. But sometimes it's difficult. I'm not gonna say it's easy. It's not easy at all. But like sometimes, the thing is also about suffering is that when we suffer, as humans, we often like to find a way to suppress that suffering. And one of those ways that to suppress that suffering is sometimes even sinning. Like for some example, some people might be like, um, um, I've been going through a lot. I deserve to like, get drunk or gamble or something like that. Like in moderation, drinking isn't bad. It's Jesus drunk. Jesus drunk. That sounds so bad. That's not what I meant. Jesus drank wine. There we go. Jesus drank wine, and most of the things, back then, kind of wine was all over the place. It's kind of like one of the only drinks people consumed. And so there's no reason for it to be like cut off. Jeez, cut off, you know. But some people assume, you know, it's bad because, you know, I mean, it makes sense, but in moderation, things are good. But there's some things that are completely off limits, and you gotta remember that. One of those things is like some people, most of the time, especially younger people, when they come back, like we live in a society where lust is so normalized. Like even like joking around, people talk about lust like it's kind of like nothing. Where are the villagers? Where the heck are the villagers? Did they die? Did they despawn? They despawned, didn't they? They might have. No, I hear one. But um, what? Okay. So lots of people, you know, normalize it, normalize lust, right? So once they go into suffering, they're gonna be like, I'll just do this or I'll do that to keep my mind away from this or that. And absolutely not. Unless you're married, there's no reason you should be doing stuff of that nature, to be honest. And well, even if you're married, you gotta do it with your wife. Let me be specific, because some people are gonna might be like, well, I'll do it with someone else. No, do it with your wife. You have a wife or husband. If you're a female, you're having your husband. You know, like Paul says in it's I can't remember if it's First Corinthians or Second Corinthians. Might be completely wrong on which book I'm talking about, but one of the books he specifically says that don't focus on like all that. It comes when it comes up. If you have a wife, don't focus. You're gonna focus on pleasing her, so it's better to stay single. Which I know a lot of people are gonna be like, but it's better to stay single. But then it's better to stay single, But if you kind of can't control your urges and all that stuff, then just you have someone that you're willing to marry, then just marry them, But sometimes people are willing to just go through lust and do all these lustful things instead of it's called coming to Christ and doing all these things. And that's kind of it's horrible if you think about it, because like all this like sex was made not for jeez, what was that? I thought like the neighbor's tire popped or something. Okay, well, anyways, all that was made for us to get closer to our partner, but we kind of perverted it and made it, what we have now. Wink. Okay, no, chicken. Jeez. And that's caused so much damage to people. Because once, like I said, once we start suffering, what do people do? Turn to that. Even if they're not suffering, they just turn to it because it's like a way to, fill up something they might not have. Like for example, most people wanna have kids or get married one day and stuff, but they're still going and doing all these things. Like, bro, like, come on, lock in, like, don't like find love, don't find lust, because realistically, lust is so easy to find. Like, if you want to just do that, it's so easy to find, bro. Love is hard to find. It's always that's why it's another reason why I'm not doing that because the water is gonna flow in. Lots of people go and like end up going through these routes when they're suffering. It's because it's an easy way out, kind of, instead of focusing and like trying to find love or do this or do that. People often no. People often decide to like use their bodies and this and that for their pleasure, their own pleasure, instead of going and like finding love. And if anything, that creates more suffering, because then later on something happens, it's not gonna go the best way. It's not. We were made for one partner. We weren't made for like lots of partners. So for you to, bruh, for you to focus on like multiple people at a time, bro. Is that water? It is water. For you to focus on multiple people at a time, like, dude, or man, bro, come on. Like, no, that's not what you're meant to do. You're meant to focus on one person at a time. How is there lava? Oh, it's magma. Whoa. Too many like sponges in here. Okay. Well, you know, we're meant to be on one with one person for like the rest of our lives. That's just how it is. And there's always people who are like, no, we're meant to, you know, be with multiple people throughout our life. No, I don't think we are. I think there's lots of evidence pointing that we shouldn't be. For example, I don't know if you guys know this, but I might be I don't know if the study is actually like trustworthy, I guess, but I saw a study one time that said that once you know, two people are together, the guy's DNA after they, you know, do the thing stays in the woman for 7 years. Can you imagine that? 7 years. And sometimes it even alters their brain chemistry. And that's scary if you think about it. If you're not with this person, like you're just kind of like, I guess you could say, messing around. That's scary, bro. Like you're you're only with this person to do that, and like you never want to know about them again. They're technically a part of you now, you know. And ironically enough, there's a verse that says that once two people, you know, wife and husband, as soon as they come together, they become one through Christ. So that like thing kind of proves that, you know, the word is right, because like, bro, they become these two people get fused and become one. Like, well, not fused, but you know what I mean. Like the DNA is still part of that woman. So yeah, but lots of people use that as their gateway for suffering. Like when you should instead go to Christ. Like I understand you wanting love. Oh my days, everyone wants love, but it's not healthy to, you know, find love in that way, because that's not even love. That's not love. That's just like a perverted version of love, of what truly should be love. But, you know, people are going to make excuses for it. Like, oh, I've been having a rough week. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. Like, yeah, but there's definitely other ways to, you know. Sorry if I'm going in circles. I'm kind of like trying to think of what else to say. I had like a lot to say earlier, but me finding out I was muted kind of ruined it for me. I'm sorry. So, yeah, I'm iffy right now. But, yeesh. But yeah, suffering is harsh. We're never gonna escape it. We're gonna keep fighting this, especially suffering against, you know, suffering after sinning, or just suffering, having these spiritual warfare, like fighting against sin. It's something else. We're always gonna suffer that. We're always gonna go through that until the day we die. There's a quote. I can't remember who said it, what saint said it, but it was an Orthodox saint that once said, I'm pretty sure it was an Orthodox saint. It could have been like Catholic or something else. Hold on. Hold on. But they said, um, okay, they said that there's one battle that we'll always fight in our life, regardless of how old we are, as we're gonna fight it until we're dead, and that's lust. Regardless of what you do, lust is gonna be always there. You know, especially mostly for like guys. I think I talked about this last episode. It's way harder on us guys because, you know, kind of like how our body's built and stuff, and like our human urges. But you gotta understand, just because it's a human urge doesn't mean it's a good urge or it's something that you should, like, I guess you could say relief. Ooh. It's more something, that's kind of part of us, but we can't let it take over us. We can't let it be, everything. We can't let it like consume us, I guess you could say. Or you gotta let it. We can't let ourselves be like become perverted. It's just. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what else to add. Let me see how much. I've been yapping for 20 minutes. I think that's enough, to be honest. I really don't know what else to say. Kind of like, kind of like, kind of got really bummed out about not recording the first time. Yeah. Oh no! I'm chilling. Okay. But yeah. Um. But after suffering, or through suffering, you gotta remember one thing. It's not what you do to escape suffering, or yeah. It's no. Hold on. Hold on. No. That's not exactly. No. It's what you do to escape suffering that matters, not the suffering itself. Because of you use that suffering, or you use, you know, the suffering as an excuse to sin or do this or that, you're only gonna suffer more. You're gonna go down a rabbit hole. Eventually, brother. That eventually, it's just gonna spiral, and you're gonna be like, oof, it's gonna spiral horribly. I ran out of arrows. So it's like, why go down that rabbit hole? Might as well just end the suffering. Well, not in like in a weird way, like, suicide or anything, but like end the suffering as in like finding God. God can cure suffering. Like that's another thing we got to realize. Going to God is the best way to cure suffering. Oh crap, that's gone. Oh, it didn't. Okay, I fell in there. Sick. So if you're not striving to be with God, then you're not gonna find the end to the suffering. And we're gonna continue to suffer until we die. And once we do die, we're gonna be with the Lord. There's no more suffering. Heaven, literally heaven is just the separate. So lots of people say that heaven or hell is a separation from God, which is suffering. But heaven is the opposite. It's a separation from suffering, which is with God. So that's where the true end to our suffering begins or is at, by going to God, letting Him help us through the suffering. We're all gonna suffer, but it's in that suffering what you do. Just keep remembering that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end the video here. I really don't know what else to say. I'm just gonna go to the top because I don't want to leave right now and end it right here. I'm gonna go back to where I was. I can get back there. Oh, I hear slime. Oh, he's up there. But there's definitely many alternatives to like your suffering as well. That I'm not gonna say that. How do I put this without? Okay, so first of all, go to Christ, but also Christ offers many ways, and even if He doesn't offer many ways, there's many good ways of like getting over this. Like for example, you're suffering that you keep falling into sin, right? There's multiple ways to get over that sin, such as, for example, if it's lust, talking to other people about it, trying to like, you're gonna feel awkward, yeah, but that's gonna make you stop, going and doing all that. While not talking about it might just make you, keep doing it. But being transparent about it, and then when you feel that temptation, when you feel like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, don't like instead of going towards it, go away from it pray or do something for with God, or surround yourself with other people that can help you. Not only that, but try to be with usually being realistic. Unless you're like try to be with other people, and I don't mean like be with other people in that way, but like what is happening down there? Okay, more as in like be with people when you fall into temptation like that. Be with people that you know are gonna help you, that aren't gonna push you towards this sin. Um, One thing I would say is that if you're very lustful, try to talk to other people and make friends. And like the lust, most of the time, the lust comes from you know wanting love, wanting affection, wanting the whoa, that's a giant hole. So wanting this love, wanting this affection, and one way to fix that is talking to people, making friends, having long ones to talk to, just going outside. And a major way, in my opinion, is possibly finding your wife. But at the same time, big warning, big red warning, just like a flash. Just imagine like a flashing screen, like beep beep beep. It's like a warning. Don't, don't, and I mean don't. If you are gonna get into a relationship, what is that? Oh, spider. Don't, and I mean don't whatsoever. I gotta find my exit. Lead your wife to sin. That's like it's like the biggest no-no. Like, bro, you're trying not to sin, and then you lead her to sin. Like, man, you gotta. At the same time, you do have to fix some. You gotta fix yourself a little bit, enough to where God's gonna give you, because they're His daughters. He's not gonna give you. Like, if you were a dad, you were not gonna give some like gooner, gooner. You're not gonna give a goon. Not gonna give your daughter to some gooner. You're gonna like try to give it to like a good man, or you know. So just try to fix yourself a little bit through Christ, and then possibly get a wife. If she's equally yoked, also that's very important. If she's equally yoked, both of you together, unstoppable. You guys can definitely get rid of that lust, because like one of you is gonna be if one of you tries to go down that route, the other one's gonna be like, hey, don't do that, and then you don't. You know, is it over? It's over here. Sick. So yeah, that's for the most part. Suffering is gonna be there all the time. I definitely could have done a more thorough explanation of this, but my brain is kind of blanking, and yeah, it is. I think it's time for me to, you know, I would have been really annoyed if I was muted this time as well, because like this was even longer than last time. Last time it was like about to be 10 minutes. It was like 9:50 something. Now it's what 28 minutes. What? That was 8 minutes. That last little conversation. Dang, bro. All right. So final thoughts. Final little things. Suffering is gonna be there. Lust is a heck of a thing. So try to run from it as much as you can. Be honest with yourself. You're gonna fall. Everyone's gonna fall. We all fall. I've fallen. I'm gonna be honest. I'm completely transparent. I've fallen before. There's been times where I haven't done something for like ages, and then randomly like I hadn't done something like let's say 2 3 years, and then boom, randomly these urges just come back and try to get you to fall. And we all fall, but it's not in that fall. It's not what you do. It's not just because you fell doesn't mean you can't get back up. When God fell with His cross, He didn't just lay there. He got up. He went to Calvary, died on that cross, and then when He died, oh, He didn't just stay dead. No, He came back. So it's not what you do, just in general. Like the sin, yes, it's bad, yeah, but it's also what you do in the aftermath. As long as you go to the Lord, you truly repent, and you try your best to come back to Him, you'll definitely do well. But you gotta also be honest with yourself, and not just because you're like, oh, I'm close to God, I'm not gonna sin. Don't also like even though Jesus was with sinners, He didn't sin Himself like that. That's what I'm trying to say. Like just because you're not gonna sin, don't surround yourself around that type of not that type of people, because try. Yeah, that's just a big no-no. Just in general, don't try to surround yourself with that type of things, you know, because those type of things are they're gonna cook you. So, and also don't be desperate about some things, like especially when people are lustful, they become very desperate. So don't become desperate. Don't do these things. Just find God, live life, and know that suffering is temporary, but God is eternal, and life is eternal through Christ, our heavenly, our Savior. Sorry, it's my brain just. All right. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I'll probably start uploading once a week. I might shift the content as well completely. Well, not completely, but I'm gonna start because I go to the gym, but I'm not kind of consistent. I'm going for a while, but I'm not always consistent. But during this break, I'm gonna try to, you know, get it, try to max out my stats. Let's just put it that way. So I might start filming, you know, my routines, my days, all that stuff to keep myself accountable. And yeah, but for now, I'm gonna get off, be with family, study. So wish me luck, and I'll see you guys maybe next week. Maybe, yeah, probably next week though. Maybe even this weekend. Who knows? All right, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Once again, have a good day, and God bless.